What's up, my guys and geeks? As you know, I was super excited for the Percy Jackson TV series we got on Disney Plus recently.
Yes!
And I had a lot of hopes and excitements and ideas and expectations for this show. And now that I've had the chance to watch on it and reflect on it, I wanted to go ahead and give my thoughts about the Percy Jackson TV series. Before we get into this video, be sure to give a thumbs up if you go on to enjoy this video, and subscribe with the bell for more awesome Geek Space content. So, the Percy Jackson TV series is, first let me say, a marked improvement upon the movies in basically every way.
I can't pee with her watching me.
It's a lot more accurate to the books. It gives a lot more of the important moments and characters that you feel like you're missing from the books. And I feel like they did a few things very well that I wanted to start off talking about. First, the characters.
This is a pen. This is a pen.
The characters, I feel like they picked the actors really well. I feel like each actor, for the most part, really embodied their characters. We're not going to talk about Hades. I don't know what they were doing there. But other than that, I feel like a lot of these actors really embodied the characters, and that even if the dialogue they were given wasn't the best, which we'll discuss later, I felt like the actors were all able to pretty accurately and well convey the characters as they were in the books and as they should be. And I think that also this show did a good job at making sure we got a lot of the big moments from the books that weren't properly portrayed in the movies. I think they made sure that they included the Minotaur and the Lotus Casino scene and the truck ride to Las Vegas and the fight with Ares and all of that in order to make sure it was more accurate to the books. So I do think this adaptation is definitely a more accurate adaptation. But I do think in its pursuit of the moments from the books, it forgets some of the more important parts that really make it not only an adaptation, but also a good TV show on its own.
But wait, there's more!
I feel like they allowed the moments from the show, the moments from the books that were important to translate onto the screen, kind of take precedence over properly building out the characters and fleshing out the world through good writing and well-written dialogue. I feel like while the actors were able to portray the characters, they weren't given a lot of meaningful dialogue to work with, and the writing and pacing was just kind of choppy. It had this weird and annoying habit of cutting to black every time there was a moment where it seemed like there would be a commercial break in a typical TV show. It was just cutting to black, but because there weren't commercial breaks, it really felt weird and kind of stunted.
This is confusing.
And I feel like it just messed up the pacing entirely, because every time it was getting to a climax or a point where you felt like there was going to be a big moment, it cut away to blackness, and there wasn't even that natural transition of a commercial that kind of makes you feel like there's a reason for that cut. There's no real justifiable reason for them to damage the pacing so badly in favor of these weird and odd breaks in the show. And then with the writing, I felt like they were just rushing from story beat to story beat, and like it didn't really give enough time to fully examine things and build things out for not only this season, but future seasons, because they have been confirmed to be getting a season 2. For example, I feel like Percy spent barely any time at Camp Half-Blood. He was there, I believe, for most of episode 2 and then part of episode 3. But really, he only spent about half an hour at Camp Half-Blood. And even then, most of that wasn't getting to connect with other campers, but rather him trying to figure out and connect with his mom and figure out how to get his mom back while searching for his father. So a lot of the development that you get in the books, a lot of his friendship that's built with Luke, a lot of him learning to fit in with the other campers, a lot of him learning how the world of Camp Half-Blood and demigods works, all of that's missed out upon in favor of this quick 30-minute episode that allows us to go through the motions of meeting Luke, meeting Mr. D, meeting Chiron in his centaur form, without actually taking the time to react to those moments, react to all these big things that are happening, and even then take some quieter beats to allow Percy to really become a part of Camp Half-Blood. Because honestly, the way the show is structured, it kind of feels like he happens to discover these people he has something in common with, but before he even really embraces that part of his life, he's just off again on a quest to save his mom. And honestly, it kind of feels like Percy doesn't even have that good of a relationship with the other members of the trio because he doesn't get time to get to know Annabeth. He doesn't get time to really react to the fact that Grover's a satyr and that he's his protector and everything. They're just right through all the beats that have to be met because it's Camp Half-Blood, through Capture the Flag and things like that, and then immediately on to the quest before there's any time to really absorb things.
That was fast.
Now, they did make some good changes, like I loved getting to hear more of Medusa's backstory, but I think they sacrificed a lot of the suspense that the books build up in exchange for those interesting character moments. Like, you could have still had Medusa give her backstory and flesh out who she is without having her immediately introduce herself to the trio as Medusa. Because in the books, they gradually come to that realization, whereas Medusa just gives them all the information right up front in the show. Or, for example, when they go into Procruste's waterbed emporium, in the books, they stumble in there while hiding from a street gang, and they have to figure out who Procrustes is and adapt to the situation as it happens. Whereas in the show, not only is Krusty's waterbed emporium the entrance to the underworld, which is not book accurate at all, but also they already know who Krusty is and how he traps his guests. So they never get the moment of Annabeth and Grover being trapped and Percy having to figure out and outsmart Procrustes on his own. Instead, the three of them already have a plan as soon as they walk through the door and execute it to perfection. I feel like a lot of the growth and character moments and a lot of Percy exploring and discovering this world is sacrificed, and instead they just give us exposition to explain who this character is or what's going on, and then jump from moment to moment. You don't get to see Percy grow and develop over the course of the series as much because there's not as many character moments, and instead just big scenes that are transplanted from the books. But I do want to end this review off on a positive note because I think that this show demonstrates a lot of positive potential.
But there's lots of potential there.
While it doesn't execute everything the best, I think that the basics are there for this to be an amazing adaptation. They were able to cast the characters right. They were able to create this world that's vast and large and feels kind of larger than life in some ways. I feel like they did add some things that are good and important. I feel like they were able to flesh out Sally Jackson's character and her relationship with Poseidon and do a lot of things that were interesting and left me wanting more from the show. So the show did do its job in that it made me want another season, but that was less because of their proper execution and more because they have all the building blocks to make something greater. I think if they really focus on the writing and the character development and better the pacing in season 2, then this could be an incredible show. But until then, unfortunately, I was a bit underwhelmed.
Disappointing.
Alright, those were my thoughts on the Percy Jackson TV show. Be sure to give me your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notifications bell for the next awesome Geek Space video I upload. If you want to understand how Percy Jackson and Harry Potter are actually in the same universe, you can click on this side of the screen. And if you want to see what 5 things I was hoping the Percy Jackson TV show would give us, you can click on this side of the screen. But you've only got 3 seconds because this video is about to end. Adios!